Hey guys, Dal here from Dal's Rigging and Crane Tips. On today's episode, we've got the second part of the two-part series, which is radio communication. In this part, we're focusing on radio communication blind. What blind means is when the crane driver can't see the load or the rigger, and sometimes it happens, say in a confined space, he can't see you, he can't see the load. Sometimes on plant, up on the second story, chimney stack or something. Sometimes in mining, he can't see where you are. Sometimes roofing's a good one. He can't actually see the load, he can't see the rigger. He's blind, essentially. Now, what we need to do when running blind, this is my first tip, is you need to have a running commentary. What I mean by this is you see it in the horse races or the GGs. You're listening to the guy on the radio, he's explaining who's coming first, he's explaining who's coming second, he's explaining who's fallen over, who's been scratched, what's going on, what colour they are. He's giving you a running commentary, he's painting you a picture, and that's what you need to do. So paint a picture. I'll move into this quite thoroughly so you know what I mean. Number two, don't have panic in your voice. There's nothing worse than a rigger with a panicky voice, because what that does is when you're going stop, 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 when you're saying winch up, through left, that panic is going through your radio to the crane driver and you're making him panicked. He's going, how come he's so panicked? How come he's unsure? How come he seems like something bad's going to happen all the time? You know, and that comes straight through to the crane driver. And the crane driver's sitting there, and he's just like, oof, and he's uneasy because you're uneasy. So your unease comes straight to the crane driver. Crane driver might be able to, you know, he might be able to tune off it a bit, but he's not going to like you being panicky. So number two, don't have a panic voice. Smooth, soothing, calm voice, and that will go a long way. Number three, jibbing down, winching and slewing. What you need to do with this, and this is a good tip, is you need to tell them where you're jibbing, tell them where you're slewing and winching down. And by this, give them some rough meters. If you need them to slew left 10 meters, tell them slew left 10 meters. Say, I need 10 meters to slew left. And then when he's slewing, start counting down those meters. 8 meters to go, 5 meters to go, 3 meters, easy on the slew, hold the slew there. Exactly the same with the jib. Jibbing down, mate, I need 10 meters, 8 meters, 5 meters, 3 meters, easy on the jib, and hold the jib there. And it's really good because what this does, it lets the crane driver know where he's going and where he's stopping. So if he knows his crane and he knows how to speed it up and slow it down, that's what he'll do. For the first 5 meters he'll speed up and then he'll slow down. And all this does is it makes his crane driving smoother because he knows the destination point, he knows how much meters left to go, and you'll notice straight away that if you do this, the whole smoothness of his operation will get better. As soon as you just say stop, stop out of the blue, or you just say slew left, he's going to be stopping and starting, and he's probably going to get on the radio and say, hey mate, you need to sort yourself out. So that's the third tip. Rough meters and count them down. The third tip, I call this Dal's 3 points of information that you need to give the crane driver on every lift. And it doesn't have to be a novel. All it has to do is be these three things: what it is, what the weight of it is, and where it's going. If you give him these 3 parts of information on every lift, it'll make your life, it'll make the crane driver's life, and it'll probably get you more work if you're casual, because this 3 parts of information is essential. Why is it essential? What it is. If the crane driver knows what it is, you're painting the picture to him. And then he can roughly work out if he's done this lift 5,000 times or 1,000 times, he knows what to sort of look out for and so on. The weight is important. I'll get into this weight part because if you don't tell him what the weight is, if you just hook up the load and you say, hey mate, winch up, it's dangerous. I'll tell you why. Because if you tell him the weight, say it's 5 tonne. If he comes up 5 tonne and then he starts going over 5 tonne, he looks on his computer and goes, well, I've got 5.5 now, what's going on? He can radio you up and go, hey mate, I'm going a bit over what you said. I'm going a bit over weight what you said. Is it hooked up on anything? And you might find, you look down and yeah, it is hooked up on something. So it's a safety mechanism. If you tell him what the rough weight is, he can keep an eye on it and he won't go over it. If you don't tell him that, and if the crane driver doesn't get on the road and say, hey man, what's the weight? It can be very dangerous. You could have a 500 kilo lid and you've forgotten that there's a bolt still in there and you're coming up on the hook. He doesn't know what weight to look out for. He's got 2 tonne, 3 tonne, 4 tonne on this little 500 kg lid, and all of a sudden disaster happens. So that's the tip. What it is, what weight it is, and where it's going. The last point, last Dell's tip I want to get across is after every lift, tell them that you've disconnected the chains. Or if you want to pick it back up, tell them that you want to pick it up. If you just disconnect the chains and after he's released the weight and just say winch up, the crane driver's sitting there and he's going, well, is it disconnected? Should I winch up fast? And he might be winching up really slow and you're thinking, how come he's winching up slow? It's because you haven't communicated to him that the chains are disconnected. It's very important that you do this because one, he can come up fast when he doesn't need to be going slow because you've disconnected, and two, if you want to come back up on the hook or come back up on the load and he thinks you've disconnected, you could have a big shock load because he'll come up fast thinking he's disconnected, but you haven't. You just wanted to come up a bit, but you haven't portrayed that to him. So that's my last point. If you've disconnected, tell him you've disconnected. If you need to pick up the load again because you need to move it a little bit more, tell him that you're picking up the load again. Make sure you give him this information. And all these tips, they tie into just painting a picture. You're painting a picture, you're letting them know what's going on, you're telling them the speeds, 10 metres, 5 metres, 4 metres, and so on. And so that's all it's about, painting a picture. I guarantee if you follow these tips, you have a better day. Obviously, when he can see you again, you don't have to be so thorough. So you don't have to start giving him metres because he can see you now. All right, so it's just when you're blind. Hope these tips help. Hope they make you more professional and get you more work and make the crane look smoother on site, and you have a good day. So cheers mate, subscribe here, Dell's Rigging and Crane Tips. Yo.